Ed again. This is Atheist, a Bird with No Cage. I have a new young man that I'm working with. His name is Jose Luis, and we're hoping to make some more videos. He's going to be helping me with the technical part of this. But anything that gets screwed up on the video, that's my fault. Okay, I always, despite my wife Glenn telling me I shouldn't do that, I always mention that I'm 78 years old, and I'm not sure why that seems important to me, but maybe it's a self-defense mechanism in case I screw up or something, and I will. Then I can blame it on my age. Anyway, what I want to talk about today is an offshoot from my discussions with the pastor that I speak with on every Tuesday morning. I meet with this pastor and another friend, and the pastor and I discuss religion. He's a born-again Christian, and one of the things that we often end up talking about when I challenge or bring up the issue of does this God thing that you believe in actually exist? One of the things is that he claims that he talks to God. He communicates with his God. And he's, of course, many Christians say that thing. And they have often what they call talking to God is, it can be different with different people. Sometimes they say, yeah, they actually hear words. Other times it's a feeling and that sort of thing. Now, what I'd like to question is that if I am a Christian and I believe that there's indeed a God, some entity, and I also believe that there's for a better name, a devil, and the God is the good guy and the devil is the bad guy. And given that the devil is very crafty and wants to fool us, got me. Oh, if you're hearing that, I don't know, I think that was a firecracker or a gunshot or something. It's because we're here in Mexico, we're into the month of December, and soon we get to Guadalupe Day on the, Jose Luis reminded me that it's on the 12th of the month, and this, I think, is the 7th or 8th of the month. But the fireworks and all that shit starts earlier. So anyway, with the pastor, I want to ask this question. If you're talking to God or communicating, whatever that is, how do you know that you're talking with God as opposed to the devil? I'm concerned about the possibility that the devil may want to fool you and, in other words, actually talk to you and pretend that he's God as a way of leading you astray. And when I ask that question to the pastor, he just invariably says, I know it's God. Well, and I asked, well, how do you know it's God? Well, I just know that it's God. I know the difference between God and the devil. Well, that might be fair, but I'm not sure it is. For instance, if I'm talking on the phone to my brother, I know it's my brother, and I can certainly tell the difference between my brother and his wife, for example. Or if it's any other person, I would recognize him by his voice, for example. But I don't think you have that going with the God thing. We're very good at recognizing voices. as we are at recognizing faces. But apparently, when these Christians are talking to God, they don't see a face or anything else really, and sometimes they hear something. So it seems to me the danger is that you could be attempting to talk with God, and it could be the devil stepping in and saying, "Ah, this is God talking," and I don't see how you would know the difference. And if he pretended and convinced you that he was God, he could convince you to believe and to do some things that are very inappropriate. I think we have the same problem when we talk about prayer. Christians tell me, and the pastor tells me, that one of the reasons that they believe in this deity is because he answers prayers. The problem is he answers prayers, apparently, when we look at the thing, at about the same rate as chance. In other words, you say a prayer, and I ask God to help me find my keys. Some Christians would say, no, that's too minimal, or that's not an important enough thing to ask God about, or ask God to intervene. See, there's the celebrations. Come to think of it, in Mexico, when we have religious celebrations, we have lots of fireworkers, bang, 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 and a lot of noise and everything. And I mean, I was raised as a youth in their Catholic church, and everything religious was very quiet, and it's like, ooh, you don't even speak loudly. But here in Mexico, all hell breaks loose when it's Guadalupe Day. The firecrackers are going off, boom, 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 and music is playing loud and everything. It's interesting. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, the talking to God thing and prayer. I think the same problem happens with prayer. It looks to me like with the prayer thing, they say prayers are answered. But they also say, well, when you pray to God, if you're sincere, you'll get one of three answers. God will say yes, or God answers the prayer, or God doesn't answer the prayer, or God says you have to wait. He may answer the prayer, but later. I don't know. It just doesn't seem to make sense to me that makes any sense. And not only that, if the God has decided that this is the way things are going to happen, and I say, okay, look, I got a special situation, I want you to change things. It's kind of like he's got to change the whole damn world for me. I guess the rest of the world goes on, but this part of, if I'm asking, what might it, once upon a time, a questioner asked the late, great Christopher Hitchens. They asked him, Mr. Hitchens, have you ever prayed? And Hitchens said, yes, once for a hard-on. And I liked that. And he never did answer whether he got the hard-on or not. But I think it was probably at about the same rate. But I think I'm getting off topic. I think it just seemed too short, this whole thing about When someone claims that they are communicating with God, I want to know how you know that that is God. They seem to admit that no one can actually know God, so I want to know how it is possible. And maybe the real fear, if I don't believe in either one of these, God or the devil, I don't believe they exist. But if they both do exist, it seems to me that you could be in danger of communicating with the bad one when you want to talk with the good one. And the other thing on that issue is, how did we even decide which is the good one and which is the bad one? If we're talking about the Bible characters, I mean, God, according to some assessments and looks at the Bible, God killed or approved of the killing about 2.5 million people in the Bible. And there's, some Christians say, well, those people deserved it, it was the right thing to do, or no, he didn't actually approve of that. It was people doing it without his approval. They seem to make a lot of excuses, but he seemed to be in favor. Anyway, God was in favor of killing 2.5 million people. And the devil, as far as I can figure, the only place he killed anybody was in the story of Job. When he did that, he killed, the devil killed a bunch of animals, Job's animals, and Job's family, and maybe some servants. So he might have killed anywhere from a dozen people or more, something like that. So it just seems to me very, and it seems, I think it's a serious, I don't have the problem of believing, but for someone that actually believes, it just seems a really serious issue. Am I really talking to God? Because if it's the devil and he's going, okay, believer, yeah, this is God talking. Isn't that what the devil's going to say if he's talking? He wants you to, he's not going to say, yeah, this is the devil, so you don't believe me. And if it is God, of course, he's going to say, yes, this is God, but that's what the devil's going to say. I can't figure out how anybody could possibly be sure that they're talking to God. And by the way, I have talked to God. It's just the problem, he never talked back, and neither did the devil. I tried talking to him or whatever. I keep saying him, but I don't know if they actually had balls or whatnot like that. Anyway, the point today is a simple point of, how in hell do you know if you're talking to somebody that can't be identified, is not a person, or I don't know, is mysterious. How do the Christians know which one of these two characters that they believe in that they're actually talking to? Especially when the bad guy supposedly, would like to try to fool you. Okay, I think we're about there. I'd like to say, once again, this is Atheist, a bird with no cage. If you're watching, that's a stupid thing to say. Of course, please comment or and look at my other videos. Again, I'm Ed. I'm 78 years old, and please be careful about who you talk to when you think you're talking to God. Just be careful that you don't get fooled on that one. Okay, thanks a lot.